We have a story to get to before we get out of here. And it's one that I've been teasing, I guess you could say, for a couple weeks now. It is worth taking a look at. And actually, I think it's not just worth it. I think it's important that we take a look at it. And what I'm talking about happened earlier this year. The Dream was accused of physical abuse and rape in a lawsuit filed against him earlier this year. I haven't seen too much press about this, probably because people don't really know who The Dream is. They know his music, I'm sure. They know his songs that he's written, but they don't know who The Dream is. But I do! So, whatever. He's always been somewhat of a mysterious figure because he has played more of a background role, but he featured on tons of hip-hop music throughout the 2010s, and then also wrote like Umbrella. You know, he was on early Drake albums, blah 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 blah. You look it up. But let's read this. Now, before I get into this, I've read this, pretty sure I read all of it. I know I skimmed through it, read most of it. I actually want to look up. There was another website I had pulled up. Yeah. Most recent reporting on this, because this one is from June. This became public in June, I'm guessing. But I think it was actually earlier than that. But the victim, the accuser, being represented by the same people that represented Cassie in the Diddy case. If that tells you anything about this, I feel like these accusations are legit. Just, you know, even just based on the fact that these lawyers have taken it. You know, they have a new reputation to protect, and they seem to have their shit together for the Cassie thing. So I can only assume that they have the evidence, they have everything they need to bring this lawsuit, you know, to justify bringing this lawsuit forward. Let's read. Singer-songwriter The Dream, best known as a solo performer and for his work pitting massive hits for Rihanna and Beyonce, has been accused of sexual and physical assault in a new lawsuit filed by a woman named Channii Monroe, aka Channii Monroe. The suit filed in California federal court today lays out accusations of abuse, violence, and manipulation. The complaint names The Dream, whose real name is Terius Adamu Gesteelde-Diamant, as well as his label Contra Paris, LLC, and Epic Records. In a statement to the New York Times, The Dream denied the accusations. These claims are untrue and defamatory, he said. I oppose all forms of harassment and have always strived to help people realize their career goals. As someone committed to making a positive impact on my fellow artists and the world at large, I am deeply offended and saddened by these accusations. If they're proven to be true in court, this kind of statement is like particularly sick and deprived. So I guess we'll see. We'll save judgment on this for when the evidence comes out. Monroe, now 33, claims that she was introduced to The Dream in 2014 when she was 23, working in the United States on an international visa from the Netherlands. With aspirations of making it in the industry as a singer-songwriter, she states that associates of The Dream reached out via social media and invited her to join his musical partner Tricky Stewart in Atlanta. According to the complaint, The Dream made promises of writing blockbuster songs for her, an opening slot on Beyonce's tour, and sponsorship of an extension of her visa. From there, the relationship allegedly turned violent as the suit goes into extensive detail about her allegations. So yeah, if you're a woman trying to break into the music industry, be careful. And I'm sure that goes without saying, but holy shit, it's so prevalent, it's so nasty that even I know somebody who was reached out to by a famous artist under the guise of like he was gonna coach her and mentor her and help her make good music, but then it like turned like oddly like weirdly sexual at some point, and she just had like the better sense to not go through with that. So if that's happening at this low of a level, you know, the dude was famous for sure, but I can only imagine like, I mean, shit like this goes on, you know. It's sketchy. It makes me scared of the music industry, to be honest, even though I would like, it's my dream to work in the music industry, but goddamn, is it a scary industry. Yeah, definitely wouldn't put all your eggs into that basket. It's just generally good advice, I think. Still gonna try it though, but not all my eggs are in that basket. That's the thing. But it's still gonna try it. Let's continue. Monroe says The Dream controlled all aspects of her life in the U.S., tracking her location and texting her at all hours to check on her whereabouts. He allegedly forced her to drink copious amounts of alcohol, strangled her during violent sex to the point of losing consciousness, and refused to wear a condom during intercourse. To the latter accusation, Monroe states that she was forced to hide her birth control pills from him. What? So he really wants to have a baby with her? Like, I don't get it. I don't get that obsession with like no birth control and shit. It's just freaks, dude. Freaks. Weirdos. Let's read this part again. So it like drastically increases in violence here. He allegedly forced her to drink copious amounts of alcohol. Okay, okay. And then the next, immediately after, strangled her during violent sex to the point of losing consciousness. Like, that's a big gap in, like, moral shortcomings. And refused to wear a condom during intercourse. Yeah, and that's like sexual assault. Among the claims, wait, what did I miss here? Okay. Among the claims, Monroe also shares that he berated her during sex, which he supposedly filmed and used as leverage against her. How would you use you berating someone as leverage against them? Doesn't that make you look bad? Just kind of tells you, if I'm understanding that correctly, if that's all true, it just kind of goes to show like the level of intelligence we're dealing with here with the dream. I can only assume. These, I'm just making assumptions here. But if you think you're going to use a video of you berating a woman as blackmail against the woman, like, come on. Doesn't make sense. When he supposedly filmed and used as leverage against her and once forcibly raped her on the same evening he coerced her to perform sexual acts in a public movie theater. And I'm pretty sure it goes into more detail about that. Epic Records and Contra Paris are named in the lawsuit as the Dream reportedly convinced them to fund Monroe's career without intending to support it. Choosing to speak out about the trauma I survived has been one of the most difficult decisions of my life, but ultimately what Dream did to me made it impossible to live the life I envisioned for myself and pursue my goals as a singer and songwriter, said Monroe in a statement. Ultimately, my silence has become too painful and I realized I need to tell my story to heal. I hope that doing so will also help others and prevent future horrific abuse. So, dude, that just, it's so honest. This is such an honest statement. I just feel it's good faith. You can feel it, dude. The way that she's choosing to speak about it, her wording here, ultimately my silence has become too painful. Like, this is just textbook, like, you hold it in, you blame yourself, and then it boils up to the point where you have to share, and it's literally just for you to be able to move on. It's literally for you to it's therapy for you to, you can't hold it in. It's a weird thing about humans, I go through this. I'm sure most people go through this, but it's hard to hold things into yourself. It feels better to share the truth with others. It really does. It's literally like an entire weight. They're not kidding when it's like a weight being lifted off your shoulders. It's like something you can feel. I'm sure she was going through that. This is yet another horrific example of how men in the music industry use their power and influence to manipulate and harm others. Yeah, I think it's way more rampant than the mass conscious public realizes. I think there's a lot more to discover. It's similar to what the movie industry, with Hollywood has kind of gone through. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Says Monroe's attorneys Douglas H. Wigdor and Meredith Firetog. Where did they find these people? Fucking Hogwarts? Firetog and Wigdor? Are you shitting me, dude? Are these Americans? Are these people not from fucking Hogsmeade? Partners of Wigdor LLP, which also represented Cassie Ventura in her $30 million lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs in November. Dream, like Sean Combs did with Ms. Ventura and others, used his standing as a prominent recording artist and producer to subject Miss Monroe to vicious physical, psychological, and sexual abuse. While she will never fully recover from what he and those who supported him did to her, her willingness to speak out now is evidence of her extraordinary strength. We are honored to represent her. Monroe is seeking compensatory damages connected to lost income from her experiences, a monetary judgment for her emotional distress, punitive and exemplary damages, and legal-related fees. Okay, so that's that article. What else we got here? I had this other article. Let's see if they have any other info. Same shit, it looks like. The lawsuit was filed in the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California. He lured her into an abusive and sexually violent relationship while promising to launch her career as an artist. The Dream's behavior, which allegedly went on for about a year after meeting in 2015, still affects Monroe and has hindered her attempts at having a career. Hoping to land a big break as a singer and songwriter, the suit says, but instead she was lured into an abusive, violent, and manipulative relationship filled with physical assaults, violent sexual encounters, and horrific psychological manipulation, which we've read. Alleges that the Dream made false promises to Monroe, telling her that he would sponsor the extension of her international visa and would make hit songs for her if she became a part of his sanctuary, which he described as something stronger than a spousal connection because it was about art. Dude, that sounds so shallow. Just like, oh man. This dude was in his own fucking world. And this was in 2014. So this stuff happened almost 10 years ago, 2015, whatever, 14 to 15. But man, oh man, this dude's ego must be out of control, because what did he call it? His sanctuary? Like, give me a break, bro. Don't act like you're a household name, dude. In reality, Dream used Miss Monroe for his base desires, which manifested in violent sexual acts and vicious psychological torture. Some intense language. During one incident cited in the suit, the producer allegedly locked Monroe in a dark room while they were at a recording studio and violently had sex with her before leaving her alone for hours. I mean, it's hard to read about this shit because the images it puts in your head are just disturbing, obviously. But I think it's important, dude. You know, we got to know what these celebrities are up to, and if they're going to be famous, then yeah, they need to be held accountable for their insane actions. These people are going to be richer than anybody else. Then we have every right to judge their disgusting behaviors, as I would with somebody I work with, somebody in my family, somebody I care about. In a way, I care about artists. I care about hip-hop artists, and I care about their influence, and I care about the future of hip-hop, and I care about the image of hip-hop. And like I said in a past stream, we don't want this shit bogged down. You know, I'm not the final say here, obviously, but I do have opinions that I got to put out here as a big fan of all this shit. As a consumer, a lifetime consumer, we can't have motherfuckers raping and physically, we can't have these motherfuckers out here doing this shit. You know what I mean? Not that people are diehard The Dream fans or anything, but this is just another example of one of these situations. So at the very least, we're going to talk about it. Let's read about these examples. So he locked her in a dark room while they were at a recording studio and violently had sex with her before leaving her alone for hours. He later returned to again have sex with her and demand that she tell him she loved him. Monroe, still hopeful for her big break, tried to convince herself that the sex was consensual. The Dream also controlled Monroe's stay in the U.S., tracking her location, calling and texting to find out where she was, and keeping a key to her hotel room so that he could enter whenever he pleased with no notice. So he seems like a major control freak. Clearly, something tells me that the fact that she's represented by the same lawyers as the Cassie suit, like, that brings an air of legitimacy to this lawsuit. It makes me inclined to believe her, because she's represented by the same people that just took on the Cassie suit, and you know they're just now building this reputation for themselves. So you know, I just have a feeling they wouldn't take this case unless it was kind of solid here. You know, there must be some evidence of some of this. So he's tracking her calls, texts, and phone. It goes on to say that the producer forced her to drink excessive amounts of alcohol, recorded a sexual encounter, and threatened to share it with others, and physically abused her. During one incident, he allegedly choked her to the point that she believed she might have lost consciousness at one point. Disturbing. Could you imagine? And I'm sure even some people that may be watching this right now in this moment don't have to imagine it, but have been through it. But to be in a relationship with a abuser like that is just like so sad and so terrifying, and you must make the victim feel so helpless and just depressed. It just makes me sad thinking about it right now. While at a movie theater, the producer forced Monroe to have sex with him while another man presumably watched. Is this like one of those weird sex movie theaters, or like, holy shit? What movie were they watching? Ice Age? You know, important hard-hitting questions here. That same night, he allegedly raped her in the back of a van. I wish I didn't have to read that out loud. Monroe was eventually signed to ContraPoints LLC in 2015, the Dream's record label, and the producer arranged for a distribution deal with Epic Records. The suit alleges that Contra facilitated his behavior, and Monroe had raised concerns to an executive with Epic, but she was told to figure out a way to work with Dream again. Contra and Epic are both named as defendants. NBC News reached out to Sony Music Entertainment, which owns Epic, for comment. Efforts to locate contact information for Contra were unsuccessful. In July 2016, Monroe was informed that she had been dropped from the label. Okay. So there you have it. That's it. That's the reporting on it. There's not much more to it so far. I've been looking for updates, but I haven't seen any. Like I said, this was published, kind of put out in the media at the beginning of June. Now it's August 23rd, 2024. So we'll see. Hopefully more evidence comes out. And it's in the courts, so evidence will come out. Hopefully we get to be privy to it. But until then, we'll keep our ears to the grindstone. Is that what they say? Let's keep our ears to the streets, nose to the grindstone, motherfuckers. Today I wore my watermelon shirt. Free Palestine, bitch.